Unity of Houston is an inclusive church where we seek to understand and live the teachings of Jesus and other spiritual masters. At Unity, we welcome all people from all spiritual paths and every walk of life. We celebrate the diversity of our city and of our world, and we teach love, tolerance, and oneness, seeking to live in harmony with open minds and open hearts.
Wherever you are in your spiritual path, you are always welcome at Unity. Join us and discover that the life of your dreams is already within you.
What a perfect song to lead into the opening of this series on prayer. I was kind of wondering whether I should have been closing out the series, Jean Marie, because I am talking to you about quantum prayer. Now, some of you who know how much I like quantum stuff have probably said, what's with Reverend Sheila and all this quantum stuff? How many of you saw the movie What the Bleep Do We Know? Well, you can blame it on that. In the first week that it opened, I saw it. I was so enthralled. I was blown away. I saw it 4 or 5 times the first week. Then I saw it, I lost count until it came out on, what was it we used to use? DVD, thank you. And then I was watching it day after day after day. And it's not just because I'm kind of nutty like that. It's not really, well, I am kind of nutty, but that's not the reason. But you see, I had been believing when I discovered Unity, and I was very ill. I was brought to Unity, this Unity church. And I was given 6 months to 2 years to live. And when I listened to Sig Paulson, and he mentioned something in there about being able to heal my life. And I got to talk to him, I got to have an appointment with him, and he brought around me people who were helping me develop new ways of looking at my body and my mind and my spirit, and having the faith that I didn't have to leave 2 young children and go off to bye-bye land. And I'm still here, by the way. And as I studied Unity principles, I began to sense that there was something more that Unity was attempting to teach through what was presenting as metaphysics and bringing in and touching on mysticism as well. And I read Charles Fillmore's book on atom-smashing power of mind. And it blew my mind. And I knew there was something beneath that, but I wasn't sure what it was, but I knew that there was so much more to the concept of metaphysics than we were realizing. I knew that there was so much more to energy than we were realizing. And I came across a paragraph that he wrote, that Charles Fillmore wrote in the collaboration of Teach Us to Pray that he had with his second wife, Cora Fillmore. And I asked Ken if he would read for me that paragraph, and then I'll go on.
There are vibrations in space that our men of science have not yet discerned or measured. These undiscovered qualities are related to the mind of being and must be apprehended through the unfolding in man of supermind faculties. When the trained Christian metaphysician prays, he can, with a disciplined consciousness, make contact with these forces in the ether, and through them gain a certain unity with the mind of being. The consciousness thus attained is usually designated as the Christ consciousness, or the mind of the Lord Jesus Christ. When that union is attained, an increase in spiritual power is felt, and one has the assurance of the activity of spiritual principles within, of which one has had hitherto no awareness.
And I used that paragraph to open a brand new chapter in the second edition of my first book, Praying Through a Storm. And that chapter is what's beyond prayer, what's beyond the words, quantum prayer. And what the bleep set me on a path of understanding that the Christ, the realm of consciousness that we are connecting with when we pray is actually and factually the quantum field. And scientists have been right on the edge of that for a long time. And in the era just before what the bleep came out, when they announced it to the world, they had been testing it and playing with it. And what I discovered was all of this that we have been taught since the Fillmores about prayer, about consciousness, was really a collaboration between us, our minds, and the quantum field. Now, we were calling it God. I noticed that the more I got into quantum physics, quantum science, the more challenge I had with using the term God, because it seemed to limit it to those three little words. And finally, when I began to understand that the quantum field is the operating system of the universe, and that quantum mechanics was the process through which that which we conceptualized, spoke, thought, desired, came into manifestation as our reality. Are you with me? You really are? Okay, get kind of quiet out there. So then I said, okay, maybe the quantum field is God, but not as we see it. So I started calling it the grand operational design. And it made sense. Because that's what the quantum field is, the grand operational design. It's the operating system. And so that worked for me. I could work with that. And then when a concept, an idea, a word, a thought is generated from us who are made in the image and likeness of the quantum field, hear what I'm saying, then quantum mechanics goes into action to bring forward what we have spoken, what we have thought, what we have conceptualized. And so as it comes into us, it is Christ, Jean Marie. As it exits out into the manifest world through Jean Marie, then it is Jean Marie the Christ. Are you getting this? Yeah. And so I began to understand why it's impossible for our prayers not to be answered. All prayer is answered. And that had been said. How many of you have heard all prayer is answered? It is. It may not be what you thought you prayed for, but it was answered. Because many times, my beloveds, we are praying when we don't know we are praying. Every thought, every word is a prayer. That's how powerful we are. Look around the world. We created all of this. We are powerful co-creators of the grand operational design. And we are continually accessing the Christ through the quantum mechanics, which comes through us, and we speak it, and we put the Christ out there. And so that is what grabbed my heart and my mind and my spirit when I began to study this profound science that is really still relatively new. So let's look a little bit deeper at this and look at the practicality of it and how we can utilize it and so forth. But first, a joke. There were some students taking a class, taking a test for a class, final exam, and as the instructor was giving out the tests, giving them instructions, he said, now, I want to let you know, if anyone cheats, I'm not going to allow you to turn in your test, and you will fail this course. And they were doing their work, and there was this one young man who was really very nervous, and he was really torn. He didn't know what to do, and he finished the test, and the instructor said, because I will know if you cheated, so don't even bother to turn it in if you did. And so the young man is back there, and he waits till everybody has turned theirs in, and he stands there, and the instructor says, what's wrong? He says, well, I'm not sure if I should turn this in because I may have cheated. And he said, well, let me see your test. And so he went through the test, and he gave it back to him, and he said, because he said, well, what makes you think you might have cheated? He said, well, I was praying to God throughout the test. And the instructor said, well, you don't have to worry because God didn't answer your prayers. So let's say God answers our prayers. So how do we do this? Okay, let's look at this whole concept. If we live our lives as if every thought, every word is a prayer, okay, we can have peace, love, joy, success, prosperity, abundance. We could also have what we're seeing happening in the world right now. We could have chaos, we could have anger, we could have violence, and so forth. And you see, what we're seeing came from somewhere, my beloveds. and what we see on the other side, where we see love and joy and beauty and peace and possibilities on this side, that came from somewhere too. But how do we create the dynamic and the direction that allows us to be conscious of what we are creating, and to be able to determine whether or not we wish to have it manifest? Am I making any sense? So what is it that we must do in order to support a broader manifestation of this throughout our planet? And one of the things I believe we are being called to do is to be more conscious and to begin to teach our children, our grandchildren, if we're teachers, our students, about consciousness. You don't have to teach them about God and Jesus, because you're not allowed to do that in schools and stuff like that. However, I know that there are ways in which we can get the point across now that we have quantum science out there. What if we used quantum science to teach our children, grandchildren, students, and so forth about the power they carry simply by being in existence and being created in the collaborative image of the grand operational design? What if we could do that? And not just in unity churches. We're doing that in unity churches. But there has got to be some way of bringing this to this new generation that's coming up. Because believe it or not, they're ready for this. And I know they're ready for this because of my grandchildren. They eat this stuff up. But maybe we're not utilizing it or passing it along in a practical way. So when we are putting things out there for our children to look at or to listen to or so forth, I know that perhaps those of us in here don't really know how to go and put together a hip-hop CD and, lay it down and, to get their attention. But I believe if we could get across to those who are learning how to be who they're meant to be, what the keys are, that instead of running ourselves ragged, attempting to turn this ship around before it hits an iceberg, that with some simple ways of speaking, simple ways of seeing, you see me, beloved, if we could just stop pointing the finger, criticizing, condemning, and judging, we could play a major part in turning the ship around before it hits an iceberg. See, it's not just what we teach practically for them to do, but it's how we perceive them. And so our perception of what we are seeing is facilitating the continuation of the same. So we who are awake and we who are attending churches where they are tapping into and bringing forth the understanding of the most powerful frame of reference in the universe, perhaps can begin by monitoring our perception. And by looking at our world and everything in it as perfect. Because you see, we created it, therefore it's perfect because we are made in the image and likeness of that which creates everything. So evidently it is perfect. We may not be able to see the perfection, but if we simply act as if and accept that it is perfect, now what? I think we can make some headway. I think we can make some headway. Because you see, we are that too. You know what we're seeing that we're pointing the finger at? Look at where the majority of the fingers are pointing. They is us. So, why not? What can it hurt for us to begin to look at? And I know, my beloveds, it's not easy. It took a lot of training for me to be able to watch the news without criticism, condemnation, or judgment. But I do it. I stopped judging. I stopped pointing the finger because it was always pointing at me. I'm pointing at you. Why is it pointing at me? And so my request, my humble request, is to invite you to join me in recreating our world. That when you hear of something that is appalling to you, I want you to say, it's perfect. I behold the Christ in this. It's perfect. Now, if at first that's hard to do, you can start it off with, wow, look what I created. And you can say, oh, this sucks. And then add, I'm willing to see the perfection in this. You can even say, I'm willing to be 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 willing to see the perfection in this. Because if you offer into the quantum field your little willingness, the quantum mechanics will do the rest. Are you with me? Are you with me? Okay. So that's what I'm asking. But I also want to help you do something. Because there's a tool that I want to share with you tonight that will begin to help you see the perfection in everything. David, you coming up? How many of you, and you'll have to raise your hand, because how many of you are aware of the third eye? Raise your hand. How many of you know how to access the third eye? We're going to learn to access the third eye tonight. Because I want to see us create a world facilitated by power and peace and love and grace and gratitude. Because we can do it. We have the power. So the time to play small and to hold back and say it's not my business, it's gone. Because it is our business. The ship is getting close to the iceberg, and so since we have the power, why not bring ourselves collectively into the service of the grand operational design by taking on the task of healing this world. I know it sounds like a lot, my beloveds, but you know, we can do it. I know we can. Because if I'm still alive, we can do this. I am still here, right? So I'm going to teach you how to access the third eye. The third eye is located right here, right between the eyebrows. Some people put it up here, it is not. Once you begin to touch it, you will begin to feel the energy activate itself. And we're going to allow the quantum field to pour itself into us. David, can we do pour yourself? Just keep your eyes open for now, and I just want you to feel this. Close your eyes. And imagine that you are looking up into that third eye. Feel the energy. It will get pretty warm. Allow it to pour itself into you through the opening of the crown chakra. The power of the quantum field is pouring itself into you, into your very being. Feel it as it opens, and you feel that energy pouring into the crown of your head. Pour yourself into us. Feel the heat as it generates under your finger. Feel the heat. Feel the energy pouring through your crown chakra. your heart opening. As the grand operational design pours itself into your very being, say to yourself, I am willing to see. I am willing to see, God, as you see. I am willing to see the perfection in this world right here, right now, as you pour yourself into us. Allow me to see that I may be a part of the healing of this world. Lead me, guide me, direct me in the direction which you want me to go to do what you want me to do. Feel that power pouring into you. Feel it, feel it, feel it. We see beyond the apparent to the infinite possibility, to the truth, to what may appear impossible. We see it because we look through the eyes of the Christ of our being. And continuing to focus your attention at your third eye, remove your finger and continue to see through that eye. Continue to feel the energy as it pulsates. Feel the energy as it pours through the crown chakra, pouring down through your body, all the way down to your feet and out into the earth. Feel the power as we join the great mystics of all the ages. We see through the divine eye. We see as God sees. Feel the energy pouring all through your body, down your neck, down your arms, down your back, down your legs. Feel the tingling in your feet as it moves through into the earth. Feel the energy surging through your hands as it pours down from your shoulders, down through your arms, out through your fingers. Say to yourself, I am the power of God. I am the power of God. I am the power of God. Take a deep breath and hold it at the top. And gently blow it out. Take another deep breath and hold it at the top. Gently blow it out. Once more, take a very, very deep breath. Hold it at the top and blow it out. And when you feel ready, you may open your eyes and return to this moment, this place, and this time. Because this is a very mystical process, I'm going to ask that when service is over and before you start to walk, invite someone sitting next to you to help ground each other, and place hands on the shoulder. Someone stand in front of you, place their hands on your shoulder, and just gently press down, anchoring you. For a few moments. And then you switch and you do that to them. Make sure you get someone in the room to ground you.
I will pray for you tirelessly. twinkling snowflakes light the wintry way. For you, I will pray. I will pray for you when the song of spring is heard in every place throughout the earth, and the tulips shout that summer's on its way. For you, for you, for you, I will pray. I will pray for you, tirelessly, unceasingly, that you are always in God's care. Every second of every minute, each and every day. For you, my friend, for you, my friend, for you, my friend, I will pray.
Thank you for watching this message today. I'd like to invite you to join us in person here on campus at Unity of Houston for Sunday morning or Wednesday evening services. If you can't be with us here on our campus, you can still join us live on Facebook or on our website, unityhouston.org, Sunday mornings at 11 a.m. Central.